Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
It's time! 17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead. I've got a piece of it. It comes off. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Tying run at second, 2 out. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
To the far side around the 8-yard line to Hester. Under it and to the middle with the 15 to the 20, breaks free to the 25 to the 30 to the outside. 40, midfield, 40, 30 to the toe, 20, 15, Hester 5. Oh! Touchdown!
Toward Bryant. He will glove it toward Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on his House Music Monday edition. I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. And if you're not following us on Facebook, what? Come on, go to Facebook, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the like button, and now you're following Sports Zone Chicago. Simple. But wait, there's more. Go to the show's page, go to Shawn and Maya in the morning, like that page as well. So not only will you be following Sports Zone Chicago, but you'll be following Shawn and Maya in the morning as well. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, excellent. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, for real, come on, guys. Go to YouTube, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the subscribe button. But also click the notification button. That's the little bell next to it. That'll let you know anytime a show from Sports Zone Chicago is going live. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, if you're watching on our mobile app, please don't tell me you didn't know we had a mobile app. Come on, baby. What's wrong with you? You got to keep up with the Joneses and them. Keep up with the Joneses and them. Not them, them, N-E-M. So go to wherever you get your apps from. It doesn't matter whether it's iTunes or Google Play or Amazon or Walmart or Kmart or 7-Eleven, Zayre, Zemsky, Macy, Montgomery Ward, Woolworth, Weebles, Goldblatt's. It doesn't matter. You go there, you type in Sports Zone Chicago, you download it, you take us with you on the go. So not only do you get Shawn and Maya in the morning 3 days a week, not only do you get our other live shows throughout the week, and not only are they archived there like they are on Facebook and YouTube, but I'll tell you what, we give you a slew, and I mean a slew of articles thanks to my man Clarence Council III. Big up to Clarence for keeping you abreast of all articles Chicago sports related. Now, if you're watching us on our Roku channel, I like that kind of party, baby. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Sports Zone Chicago, we have our own Roku channel. So if you have a Roku television in the house, do us a favor. Do us a solid, yeah? Download Sports Zone Chicago's channel to your television. Do it. To your television. You like that. Put it next to the big boys. Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Prime, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Stars. Man, we're getting closer and closer to Power Book 3, Kanan, Season 3. I'm getting fired up about it. What the fudge crackers is this? Craziness, craziness, craziness. You can watch this on the big screen. Hell, on the big screen, right, Mickey? Now. This dude is something else. Crazy. So I had to clean up this little section here on the of my tea. A little crazy. Hey, you can also tweet the show. Tweet us at Sports Zone Shy. That's CHI at Sports Zone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me personally online. Want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy one handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. Man, we got a great show. We have a great show, man. We're getting started early. But I need you to get interactive. So whatever platform you're watching us on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or a mobile app, Leave a question or comment on that platform. It'll come up here in the thread. We'll put it up on the screen. We'll incorporate it into the show. And that, my peoples, is what makes this the best morning Chicago sports talk show around, and that's you. All right, so bring them all, baby. Questions, comments, smart-ass remarks, because ain't nobody scared over here. And like The Rock said, baby, don't sing it, just bring it. Let's check the chat, because it is jumping. Jumping. Woo, Charlie. Levette Lee's checking in early. She's Happy House Music Monday, y'all. Levette, good morning, Mom. Thank you for tuning in. Cornelius Squalls in the house, like, what up, sports zoners. Man, Black Diamond checking in. He's like, top of the morning, sir. If you get a chance, let me know what you think of my latest mock. Oh, we will. Rick Gonzalez. Buenos días, amigos. ¿Cómo estás, compañero? There you go. My man, Be Smooth. Good morning, Levette, Cornelius, Rick, even Shawn, even me. Oh, awesome. And you forget Black Diamond. You had to put him on a completely different thread. Crazy. Michelle Walls in the house. Happy House Music Monday morning, my loyal subjects. Oh, he's a fool. Hey, listen, I don't know a lot about a lot, but I do know this. More of the usual suspects will chime in as the show goes on. That, my peoples, I can promise you. Why is this ear like sticking out all crazy? More so than this one. Who knows? Anyway, we got a great show. We have a really big shoe. Really big. Man, at 9:30, Josh Sklare, the co-host. We had him on a couple of weeks ago. He's the co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast. We're going to talk some Bulls basketball. How the trade's made, everything's going on. How are we doing? Are we doing a good job of tanking when it's not looking like we're tanking? We're going to see. We're going to talk to Josh at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, my man E.J. Snyder. He's an NFL Draft Analyst. All right. He's going to come and join. He's been rocking with us for years. This is his time of year. He's actually in Indianapolis. So he's going to take some time out from the meetings down there and networking and trying to meet with people down there to talk with us. So I'm fired up about it. I'm thankful for his time. We're going to talk Bears, baby. We're going to talk what the Bears need. And we're not just going to talk, oh, this is the best offensive line, this is the best this. No, who realistically could the Bears get in their specific draft spots? All right? Who can they get specifically? Like, we're not getting Abdul Carter. What are we talking about? No need. There's no way Abdul Carter's dropping to 10. None. So no need to talk about it. Shedeur Sanders, not that we need him. All right, Travis Hunter. Like, they're not dropping past, those three are not dropping past number 4, maybe 5. So there's no need to talk about it. We're going to talk about realistic options for the Bears. And I told you what I want, man. I told you I don't want anyone under 300 pounds. All right, say 280 if you're going for DN. But give me 300 pounders the first 3 picks. 2 offensive linemen and a DN or 3 tech. 1 offensive lineman because we addressed it in free agency. 2 defensive linemen. Okay. But we better pick some big boys in those first 2 rounds. But we're going to see who's going to be available, who's projected to be available with my man, E.J. Snyder. Excuse me. So, obviously, there's a whole bunch of things we would like to have in a perfect world, but I don't know if you know this or not. It's not a perfect world. I know sometimes it seems like it, but no, fortunately, it's not. And if we have a little chance, we're going to talk a little baseball. I don't know how much time we're going to have for that. Just keeping it a buck with you. We're starting literally at the bottom of the hour with Josh. But I'm excited. Again, good show. And I'm thankful that my peoples, that you guys have checked in, and more of the newcomers will be checking in again, as I said, as the show goes on. So here's what we got to do. Sorry. Here's what we got to do. Guys, you know how we do. The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning.
It won't come just when you want it.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you, baby. You know how we do. See, which way do we go? Which way do we go? Which way do we go? Which banner did I put up first? Who played first yesterday? Here we go. The Blackhawks. Ooh, Charlie. Rough one, baby. The Blackhawks fall to the Toronto Maple Leafs 5-2 yesterday at the United Center. Boy, that was a rough one for us. Soderblom stopped 25 of 29 shots. Teuvo Teravainen lit the lamp for the 13th time this season. Nikola Kurashev, he lit the lamp for the 5th time this season. Assists for Bertuzzi, his 12th and 13th of the season. Donato is 19th. Frank Nazar, his 8th of the year. Staying with the Blackhawks, tomorrow the Blackhawks travel to Utah to face the Utah Hockey Club. Puck drop is at 8 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on Chicago Sports Network or listen to it on their flagship station, 7:20 a.m. Next top of the morning topic, the Bulls. Bulls with a tough one. At home with a loss to the Phoenix Suns. 121-117 Saturday. Josh Giddey led the way, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 10 helpers, 10 assists for Josh. So close to a triple-double. Missed it by that much. Kobe White, 20 points, 8 assists, and the walking double-double himself, Nikola Vucevic, 16 points, 11 rebounds. But it wasn't enough. And both teams had losing streaks going into the game, and so someone had a break, and sure enough, Phoenix broke their losing streak. We continued ours. Staying with the Bulls, the next top of the morning topic, the Bulls are in Philly to face the 76ers tonight. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on Chicago Sports Net. Or listen to it on their flagship station, 670 a.m. Let's see, where we at? Next top of the morning topic, let's see what we got to do. Shocker. My White Sox. Yeah, the White Sox with a 4-3 loss to the Kansas City Royals. Let's get used to it. Let's get used to it. It's going to be like that all year long. All year long. So let's get used to it. Let's not get too excited over it. Corey Jokes was 1 for 2 with a homer, his first of the season, his first and second runs of the spring. So tough for our boys. But staying with them. Staying with the White Sox, the next top of the morning topic, the White Sox play the Rangers today. Spring training, they play every day. First pitch is at 2:05 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on Chicago Sports Net or listen to it on their flagship station, AM 1000. Forgot to put that up there. We'll do that now. ESPN is the flagship station for the White Sox. You can listen to it on ESPN 1000 AM. The next top of the morning topic, Cubs. Cubs beat the Rangers 6-5 yesterday to remain undefeated. If you saw the thumbnail, you saw it. The Cubs were undefeated this year in the spring. Machado 1-for-1 with a ribby, his second of the season. Long 1-for-3, 2 RBIs, his second and third of the season. And McGeary 1-for-1, driving in his first RBI of the season. Moving on to today, the Cubs. The Cubs play the Padres. First pitch is at 2:10 p.m. Central. It didn't have them on the marquee today. They're not playing on the marquee network, so you can only listen to them on 670 AM, their flagship station, which is a little weird. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Next top of the morning topic. White Sox minority owner and billionaire Justin Ishbla. He's also the owner of the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury. He wants to buy a bigger share of the White Sox. And let me tell you, they are doing happy dances all in and around Bridgeport and throughout White Sox Nation today. He wants a bigger share of the White Sox. He ended his bid to buy the Minnesota Twins. And so now, because he ended that mission, he wants a bigger stake in the White Sox. And let me tell you something. He would be a welcome addition to own our White Sox. Doesn't mean Jerry's going to sell the majority interest, but it just shows that we have other people interested in being owners of our White Sox. Rick says, wait, Utah has a hockey team? Yeah, the Arizona Coyotes, the Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes, they left and went to Utah. So this is their first year there, and they couldn't come up with a name. So they named them the Utah Hockey Club. So that's another thing. So this thing had been going on for over a year. This was in the works for over a year. This was happening. You had over a year to figure out a name. Utah. You had a year to figure out the name and get it approved by the NHL, and you couldn't come up with anything. So you go to the Utah Hockey Club. Over a year you had to pick a name. Couldn't do it. Tell you, baby, some people. Oh, man, my man, the Plankster's in the house. Plank, what's up, Papa? How are you? Bear down to everybody, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Say good morning, Shawn, sports owners. Bear down. You got it, baby. You got it. Cornelius, what are you talking about? Says, I prefer the Bears get the potential superstar in round one because all the old linemen you could put in a bag and just pick one. So get the great player in round one. Who are you considering a great player? Who's the guy that you want there, Cornelius? Who's the guy that you want? Don't you blaspheme on here, Levette. Stop it. Rick, you and me both, man. I'm telling you. I wore my White Sox hat today just because. I don't even know why. Yeah. It does sound like a soccer club. Soccer, yeah, it does. So they should have. Can't use obviously the Avalanche. What about the Sasquatch? But no, because Colorado has the foot, the Sasquatch foot as one of their logos. So the Utah Snow Bunnies? I don't know. But that's funny. The next top of the morning topic, the Sky. Chicago Sky made a big trade yesterday. If you missed it, man, oh man, oh man, they've acquired Ariel Atkins from the Washington Mystics. They acquired her for the number 3 overall pick in this year's draft. However, but wait, there's more. Yes, there's more. Why they did this, I have no idea. But so not only did they get Ariel Atkins, 2-time All-Star during her 7th season with the Mystics. Okay. But Washington, this is what Jeff Pagliocca's, why his tenure has been a little, people have been giving it the side eye. Jeff Pagliocca is the general manager for the Sky. The Mystics will also get the option of a first-round pick swap in 27. And the Sky's second-round pick. So they can decide to swap picks with the Sky in the first round of the 2027 draft and in the second round of the 2027 draft. Why would you do that, Jeff? That draft, this is according to Andy Constable of Sun Times. That draft, the 27 draft, is expected to include Juju Watkins and Notre Dame star Hannah Hidalgo. So if the Sky suck, the Washington Mystics can swap first-round picks. If the Sky have a higher first-round pick than Washington in that year, and that's the thing that sucks. So why would you do that, Jeff? I don't understand. You know who's coming out in that draft. It doesn't make any sense to me. I was a little annoyed with that particular caveat in this trade. Really bothered by that, actually. Actually, yes, she can. B. Actually, she can. She is, thank goodness. Excuse me. She is with the acquisitions they have. Remember, they signed Courtney Vandersloot. All right, they also acquired Kia Nurse and Rebecca Allen, Atkins now, and all of them are known for their strong three-point shooting. So we should see a marked improvement in Chicago Sky three-point shooting this year. We should. Shawn, I agree with you. The fact that you give them the ability to switch. Because what if you have a bad year next year? Or worst case scenario, what if Washington has an even crappier year? And they just get to switch with you in 2027. I don't know. I just don't like it. Cornelius says, I've been watching Ben Johnson's offense all weekend and seeing what Sam Laporta means to his offense. Don't be surprised they draft Tyler Warren. Okay. Do you think there's going to be an increase in play design for Cole Kmet? You know, Cornelius, remind me later. We have EJ Snyder on, and we'll talk to him and see if that's a legitimate option that they go drafting Tyler Warren. He's the NFL Draft Analyst, and this is right in his wheelhouse. He's, like I said, he's down in Indy. No, I like this guy. I agree. I mean, there's no real Bear stuff to talk. Spring training is just starting. The Hawks suck. The Bulls suck. Let's talk about another team that's hopefully on the rise. Is our girls. Cool. Good stuff. Well, listen. Let's take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're gonna welcome Josh Sklare back to Shawn and Maya. We're gonna talk all things Bulls. All right. Just get off here, baby. We're going to talk all things Bulls with Josh on the other side of the break, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey, it's your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
We are looking for a few heroes, mentors, trailblazers, innovators, a passion to change lives, spark curiosity, open hearts, and awaken minds, help students answer the question, who am I? This could be your calling, but this is no job. It's the journey of a lifetime. Be a hero. Be a teacher.
Mental health and learning disorders don't discriminate. 17 million children and adolescents in the United States live with disorders like anxiety, depression, ADHD, and dyslexia. Less than half get the help they need to thrive. Help the Child Mind Institute change these children's lives. Visit childmind.org.
Vucevic did a nice job deterring Devin Booker's drive. Here's the veteran Bradley Beal, picked away by Kobe White.
Showtime.
For Giannis
Boozy Burks. And then the defense. And he said, forget the dunk contest, baby. I'm a game dunker. Luke can shoot that 3-2, don't sleep.
He had that. Didn't he have one game where he had like 6 threes, was he? Here's Jones. Big save!
Good find by Kobe White.
Some run as a starter. Taken away by Tyus Jones, shielding it. Give me that! Lonzo Ball with the rejection.
Give me that.
You saw Tyus Jones try to veer his way to prevent Ball from defending.
Watch this. He's going to try to box him up. And then there's Lonzo Ball says, I'll take that, thank you. Access denied. He tried to be cute with it. You know what I always say? I'm a vanilla man. Just lay the ball up. Too much mustard on the hot dog.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Those clips courtesy of Chicago Sportsnet. Those were the Bullies in a tough 121-117 loss to the Phoenix Suns on Saturday at the Madhouse on Madison. Well, our first guest today, you saw him here before. We had him on recently. He's the co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Squire. That's Squire. Guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Josh Sklare. Josh, what's up, Papa? How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing good, Shawn. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Good weekend. Very chill weekend. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Had a chill weekend. Had a chill weekend as well, so I'm very happy to hear that. It's always good when you can just relax and take the edge off and just do what you got to do.
Yeah, I actually plan to go out on Saturday, have a drink at my buddy's place. I ended up falling asleep like an old man. I was like, oh.
It happens to the best of us. I've had that happen before to myself.
So I had nothing. Really, again, just super chill weekend. Fortunately, the Bulls, big loss. Not big, but another loss, 121-117 on Saturday at the hands of the Phoenix Suns. Talk to me. Are they doing a hell of a job of tanking without intentionally tanking?
I think they are. I think they're doing exactly what they wanted to do. People forget, this team is, I believe, lost 15 of their last 19 games. They're doing what they need to do to tank. The only problem is, and I talked about some on the Running with the Bulls podcast actually the other day, was that the problem is they're tanking, but the rest of the East below them is just as bad. So it's not really their fault that they're still in the 10 spot. It's just that I think we're all a little surprised Philadelphia is as bad as they are. I mean, yes, Embiid has been hurt. He's taken a step back, really. They've lost Jared McCain for the season. They're just not playing the way they do. Paul George has regressed. So, I understand why Philly's struggling, but at the same time, the Bulls are doing what they need to do, which is looking solid in their games. They look solid. They've looked solid the last two games, both losses, which is what they need. And I think it's okay that they're losing basketball games. If you're losing games by 2 or 3 points, I'm okay with that. When you're getting blown out, you're never going to look good, especially against the Pistons when they got blown out twice. They didn't look good at all.
We didn't. And you know what? I'm still wondering why this guy's still here, why Vooch is still there, but apparently he's not throwing a monkey wrench in their plans of losing, which is good. All right. He's still getting his doubles, but the Bulls are still losing. And it's frustrating. But also one of the things that I really like about it is just getting some of the younger guys. You're getting the Dalen Terrys, you're getting the Julian Phillips, and the new guys, Wachter and all those other guys. You're getting them some time to get them acclimated with this system. And then for those who are coming back next year, you already have a leg up because you're familiar with pretty much the core of this team, and then any additions that they have in the offseason. I think it'll be a much better team next year, which is obviously the plan. But you're going to have some of the newer guys and younger guys who are getting their legs under them, so to speak, with this new organization.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, the thing that we also we're finally seeing is the progression with Matas Buzelis, who's having a very, very good month of February. If you just look, and anybody can look this up, but I'll give you the stats here. It's 13.5 points per game, 3 rebounds, a block per game, shooting 55% from the field, 37% from 3. He's doing the things that I wanted to see from him, at the beginning of the season. Now he's getting that playing time. He's getting the starts. He's doing the little things that we want to see. We're seeing how good of a defender he is. We're seeing the skill set that he has. And I think that this is a good thing for the Bulls. Like I said, you can lose games. That's okay. As long as we're seeing the young guys progressing and developing, that's what matters most. And, what I like to see is right now, you still got this big log jam of guards, but you're seeing, a lot of quality guard play still. I would assume he's been playing very well. Kobe White's still playing very well. Now he's shooting under 40% in February, which is, not the best, but he's still putting up numbers. Vucevic has been struggling, but, I think he'll turn it around. It's just, I think right now what we're seeing is a team that, is doing, like I said before, is doing what we need them to do, losing basketball games and positioning themselves for a higher draft pick. And as long as you look good while losing, I mean, no one likes to lose, but if you can still play quality basketball like they did against the Suns and still lose the game and hold your head high, I think that's okay right now.
Superstar Kevin Durant had some pretty complimentary things to say about Modest. Did you hear those? And if you did, give me your thoughts on the comments of KD toward Matas Buzelis, and also just Modest himself as you talked about his improving with 13 points, a block a game. It's in February. Give me your thoughts.
Basketball players know who can play. And Durant recognizes that Matas is a guy who can play. And I think that, we're seeing exactly what he can do now. And I think that that's, really just a testament to his comments and what he said. It's a respect of guys who can play the game. If a guy is not going to be, they know who can play and who can. That's why you don't hear anybody praising Bronny James right now. Now, I'm not saying that to be mean to Bronny James, but you don't see anybody going, oh my God, Bronny's amazing. They're just not doing that because they know. But they're saying good things about Matas because they know who is a good player and who is not. And I think that he recognizes the game that Matas has, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think we're going to see more of Matas. I think we're going to see him, scoring 13 points, 14 points, 15 points a game for the month of March. We can see that at the, as the season ends in April. We're going to see him doing well. And I think that Matas has all-star potential. I think he does. Now, of course, this is just his rookie season. So we're just scratching the surface of what he can do. Once he puts on a couple more pounds, and he's able to really work on his handle a little bit more, the defense is going to be there no matter what, because you can't teach that level of defense that he can play when you can guard 1 through 4 as well as he can and get blocks the way he can. He was leading the team in blocks before he started starting. He was leading the team in blocks on a team that really didn't block shots. He was the leader in blocks, which is a testament to just how good of a shot blocker he is. And I think that we're going to see him, I wouldn't be surprised if by, next season, he's averaging at least a block and a half a game. If he's starting and playing over 30 minutes a game, it would not surprise me to see him averaging 1.5 blocks, maybe 2 blocks a game, maybe just a touch under that, because he's so good at it.
He is very good at it. And not just that, but he's also athletic. That's the wild part. He's freaking 6'10", and the athleticism that this young man has. I don't know if he had like a growth spurt, but he's got good handles for a big guy. Sometimes what will happen, you'll get guys who hit a late growth spurt, and they played as a guard up until that growth spurt. Well, when you hit the growth spurt, you still don't forget your guard skills, and he's got some phenomenal skills. He is a complete player, and you talked about him getting in the weight room. Once he gets in the weight room, like I said, not this season coming up, not the 25-26 season, but the 26-27 season is when I'm really going to get excited about him, because that'll be 2 off seasons they'll have in the weight room, and I want to see him come back with some size on him, and I need it to be evident the way it was with Lauri Markkanen, the way it was evident with Joakim Noah. We need to see him come back with that type of mass, because if he can come back, there's nothing this kid can't do, and that's what's got me so excited. And Stacey likes to say it all the time. Like, we have our Cooper flag. Don't get me wrong, it'd be great to have the actual Cooper flag. But there's nothing that Matas can't do. There's literally nothing he can't do. And if you add him with another guy with a Cooper flag, wow, where would this organization be?
Well, this organization would definitely not be where they are, which is kind of in basketball purgatory. And that's what the Bulls need to do. They need to find a way out of basketball purgatory. They're not bad enough to be bottom 3 in the league. They're not good enough to make the playoffs. They need to find an identity. And the only way to do that really is to make a good free agent signing or to draft a really good nucleus of players. They've got a good player in Matas Buzelis right now. They have a solid player in Kobe White, who may or may not be part of the future, but it sounds like it doesn't sound like Kobe. I don't think Kobe's going to be back. I think he's going to be traded at some point. That's what
really? Okay.
Yeah. And I'd be okay with that. You can get a first-round pick for him. You can get a first-round pick for him and a couple role players, and I think that'd be fine. But I think what we're seeing from this Bulls team is we're seeing a couple of guys emerge. Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey has been phenomenal in the month of March. He's scoring 19 points a game in March. In February. He's been asked to step up in his role as a scorer, and he has produced as a scorer. And I really feel like when you have a guy who, was asked to take a huge step back in his role in OKC, and now we're seeing him thrive as one of the main scorers on this team, that's something that, is something to look forward to, especially for next season. We could see Josh Giddey scoring 15, 16 points a game even next season, and I think that's going to be good. Just to break it down even further, he's shooting 49% from 3 in the month of February. Wow. I mean, he's not even a very good three-point shooter to begin with. I believe he is averaging, this is, in fact, the best three-point shooting season he's had in his career. And he's only 22 years old. He's shooting 36% from three, and he's never shot above 33.7% from three in his career, and that was last season. So the fact that he's continuing to improve his three-point shot is remarkable. And if he can get that up to 38%, 39%, you've got an extremely high-quality, highly efficient point guard who can do so many things, and I think he already can do so many things, and it's only going to get better from here. You've got two really solid development pieces. The question is where the rest of that development going to come from. Is it going to come from a free agent? Is it going to come from the draft? My guess is it's going to come from the draft, and I think we're going to have to see just who that next big piece is going to be. Only time is going to tell.
Guys, we're joined by Josh Sklare, co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast, talking Bulls basketball here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. You know what I do really like? I was saying to somebody the other day, I was really, really impressed with the progress of their point guard of Giddey. Giddey. I didn't think I was not impressed with him early when we first got him. He seemed like a deer in the headlights, but I think as he settled in, he's really shown to me that this guy can be a good, legitimate point guard in this league and for this team. And you mentioned his uptick in three-point shooting. I love it. He plays pretty good defense. Okay, the guy's he's averaging close to a triple-double. I think he had 12, 8, and 10 on Saturday. Well, not 12, 20. Wasn't it 20? I wrote it down.
He had 27 and 16 versus the Knicks, 27 points, 16 rebounds. Against Phoenix, he had 24 points, 10 assists, and
24, 8. 10, and 8. 24, 8, and 10, yeah. So 24.
I mean, those are great numbers.
Those are phenomenal numbers, dude. And the kid's only 22 years old. This kid and that's the one thing that Bulls fans, we have to remember, that so oftentimes that these kids are coming out after 1 year and they're 19 years old. They are nowhere near developed. All right. When you deal with the AAU culture, they don't work on the fundamentals. High school, because you out-athlete most people because you're the best person on the floor usually. So you're 1 year in college, they can't really they can't delve and beat into you the fundamentals that most great players have. So you got to remember, so he's got to learn on the fly and get in the offseason. He's 22. He's not even at his prime yet, Josh. Not even at his prime. We're talking he got another 3 seasons before he hits his prime, and the guy's already averaging close to 20, averaging a triple-double a game. This kid can be one hell of a player for this organization moving forward.
I think they made the right choice by trading for him. I think it was a good trade. Now, this front office, as we've seen, not the best at trading. As we saw with the Vucevic trade, it wasn't a bad trade at the time, but now they've given up Franz Wagner, who's going to be a multi-time All-Star, most likely. Yeah. Not the best trade, which is it still bothers me. But they had to make the trade at the time. I understood why they did it. But one thing like you were talking about, and I'm glad you brought it up, Josh Giddey, he's averaging a block, and a 1 block a game in February, and a steal and a half. And he's putting up really, really good numbers. So I think right now, I think we're only scratching the surface of what he can do. Like I said, if he can really improve his 3-point shot and continue to get more consistent from 3, it's only up from here. Like we said, he's only 22 years old. And I think a good example of, what we forget is, like, I always think of a guy who's young and needs time to develop. Giannis wasn't really a good player till his 3rd season. Yeah. He was skinny. He was long. He was extremely athletic, could do some things, but he really didn't become Giannis for 4 or 5 years. I mean, he really wasn't Giannis until like 2018. 2017, 2018 was when he really became Giannis.
Right.
It takes time for these guys to develop. Sometimes, guys are going to be good, when they're 22 and coming right out. Sometimes you're just going to have those guys who just come out and they're ready right away and at 19 years old, but it's very rare to see everything. Like LeBron James wasn't a finished product when he came out, in the draft. We knew what he could do. I mean, he was dominating the league at 18 years old. But we just saw him progress and progress and progress and progress. We saw Giannis progress and progress and progress. I think we're going to see the same from Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey. It's just, let's give these guys more time to develop. Now, one guy I think you can argue, okay, we've given him time and he just hasn't shown, is a guy like Patrick Williams. You can say that's a different story. And maybe that contract we gave him, not the best idea, because I think it might turn into a mistake, but he's still very young. So there's still time for him to develop as well.
I'm looking at with the way and Cornelius Squalls had that comment, he's been filling up the stat sheet too.
Yes,
he's starting to play a lot like Alex Caruso, especially on the defensive end. He's nowhere near that, but he's down that path. He's playing good defense. He's having a block. He's having a steal and a half a game. This is what we're talking about. This is why we were so good a couple of years ago when we led the East and before Lonzo got hurt, because you had Lonzo Ball, and you had Alex Caruso frustrating the opposition's guards, and they can't get in their offense to like 9 seconds into the left in the 24-second clock. And you can't run an offense with, starting at 9 seconds. So this guy, if he's going to continue to be that, what I'm seeing, Josh, I'm seeing the makings, if you can continue to develop him, I'm seeing the makings of a true all-around point guard in the NBA. A guy who does it on both ends, is happy to shell it out, to dish it out. He has no problems with assists. He can hit from the three, can play some defense, run an offense. This is what I'm starting to see from this young guy if they continue to develop him. Do you agree, disagree? Talk to me.
I totally agree with you. I think he can be one of the best point guards in the NBA, one of the best all-around point guards in the NBA, because it's hard to find a 6'8" point guard who can do what he can do. It's very hard to find a guy with that kind of size and that kind of ability. It's not every day you see something like that. The 6'8" point guard is a very rare thing in the NBA. So I think, it's going to be very fun to see Josh Giddey continue to develop and continue to do the things that he's doing. And I'm just very excited, because we have so many young guys on this team that can play. And that was what the Bulls wanted. They wanted to get younger. Now they have Vooch, and Vooch is just going to be here, I think, for the time being. You could see him get traded this summer. Let's say they draft the center from Duke or whoever they choose to draft, and then Vooch gets traded in the summer. That's a very strong possibility. And then you got an even younger core that you can, see develop. So I think, we're seeing Giddey get on the right track here. And I think because he's been asked to do more, he's going to step up and do more, because I think he's capable of doing that. He wasn't asked to do that last year in OKC because they had so many other weapons. But what we saw in OKC when he was asked to score more, he can score more. And, people forget, in his second season, he was averaging 16.5 points a game, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. We've seen what he can do for a full season in terms of when he's asked to score, when his number is called upon. He can do things, when needed. And if the Bulls need him to score, he is more than capable of filling that role. And I think it's only up from here.
I love his playmaking ability personally. I love the fact that he's still making his 3-point shots improving. I really love the fact that he's playing on the defensive end. He's playing both ends of the floor. To me, that's important. But the fact that he's a good player, those three things. He's a playmaker. His 3-point shot has been up, and he loves to play defense. To me, Josh, that's really, really, really exciting for me and this young guy, like I said, because this dude hasn't even hit his prime yet. God, we still got 3 more years before this guy hits his prime. Man, I'm excited for where this organization can go with his leadership. And I need him to stop flailing and bitching about calls, because that bothers me to no end. But, Rome wasn't built in a day.
You know what? NBA players are going to complain about calls no matter what.
Yes, they are.
If you're not a superstar, you're not going to get those calls. I remember to this day, when they complained about calls, but I remember specifically, if you ever seen the clip where there's a player where Michael Jordan's in the game, it's when he's on the Wizards, and a ref apologized to him for making the foul call. He's like, Mike, I'm sorry, but I'll believe you. Anything you say, Mike, I'll believe whatever you say. I'm like, why can't we have that for our players? Because then we get every foul call. We'd be at the line 40 times a game and hit 30 of them. We win the game. That'd be perfect. We need that again.
Well, we had that for the majority of a decade.
Yes,
we had it, and that's why when people, I said, I'm being contradictory. I'm being a hypocrite. But the Kansas City Chiefs and all their stupid freaking calls, I said, I hate it. I said, I'm being a hypocrite. I said, because I enjoyed the hell out of it when we had Mike on 91 through 98, and he got damn near every single call. If you got too close to Mike, you got a call, you got a foul called. I'm like, so I'm being hypocritical, but yes, we definitely had our share of calls for Mike, during that time. So you see anything? So if the Bulls decide not to, let me ask this question: with the development of Giddey, how is that going to affect Lonzo Ball? I mean, he's just re-upped. So
that's a great question. I think Lonzo's role is exactly this: to be a role player. I think that's what he's here for. His locker room presence. I think he's here to help Josh Giddey develop into more of a defensive stopper, and we're starting to see that. Yeah. And I really feel, Lonzo, I got to say, he's not having the best season. But what do you expect after being off for 2 years? I mean, I wasn't expecting a ton, but what I've seen from Lonzo is he's still one of the highest IQ players in the NBA, and you cannot teach what he can do, the passes he can make, the plays on defense he makes, the rotations he makes. You cannot teach that. And I think that what we're seeing is Josh Giddey is taking from the Lonzo Ball encyclopedia.
I was just about to ask you that, Josh. How much influence do you think he's had on him on the defensive end? Because Josh Giddey's playing big time defense this year.
He's averaging a career high in blocks and a career high in steals. He's got to be doing something right. And I feel like we're going to see and continue to see Josh Giddey continue to progress as a defender, because that's what we need from him. And we're going to see a lot from Josh Giddey going forward. I think they kept Lonzo Ball. I was very okay with that. What I heard was the Bulls were only going to get a late first-round pick for him, which, those can be very hit or miss. And, also would have had to take on a very long, bad contract, which I don't think would have been a good move. I honestly was me and, Adam, my co-host for the Running with the Bulls podcast, had discussed how much we want to keep Lonzo Ball, and we're glad we kept him. And I think he's going to be one of those locker room guys who really helps the team be one of those leaders and continue to help Josh Giddey progress as a passer, as an all-around three-point shooter, because Lonzo Ball is a great example of give him time to develop, because we remember how bad that jump shot used to be. And now he's a pretty consistent three-point shooter. Granted, he hasn't been very consistent this season, but that's from 2 years off. That's 2 years of rust. When he was shooting it, he was shooting lights out when he was playing for the Bulls in 2021, 2022. He was playing phenomenal for them and shooting very, very well. And he still can shoot when he's called upon. And he's mostly shooting threes now because that's what his role is right now. So I think let Lonzo be the role player, the leader in the locker room that they need. And I think we'll just continue to see progression from Josh Giddey as a defender and all other facets of his game, because I think having a guy like Lonzo Ball is really helping him in a lot of ways, because he plays very similar to him.
Yeah, he does. And I'm really happy for him. Last question before we let you go. And again, guys, we're joined by Josh Sklare. He is the co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast. We're talking Bulls basketball here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Talk to me about the development of the young guys. We mentioned Dalen Terry, although his time's gone down a little bit, but Julian Phillips has really gotten more time. Talk to me about the development of those guys and the importance of their increased playing time.
Well, that's why we traded Zach LaVine. I think, the Bulls are going to be sharing the sugar now more. That's what we need. We need the young guys to be getting the ball more. We can't have a ball, we had DeMar DeRozan, ball stopper. Zach LaVine, ball stopper. You can argue Vooch is a ball stopper, but Vooch is a solid passer as well that can move the ball around, especially when he gets double teamed in the post and knows how to rotate the ball to the open man when he's called upon to do that. I like Julian Phillips. I think he's a very solid, for a second-round pick, he does pretty darn well. He's very athletic. He's a solid defender, and he's very good at shooting the corner three and attacking the basket when he's called upon. Dalen Terry, I still want to see more, but I think Dalen Terry can carve out a role in the NBA as a defensive stopper. He's still trying to find himself, I feel like, but
yeah.
And it's been tough to see because this is his third season. We want to see more, but what I've seen is an improvement in his three-point shot. He's shooting 10% better this season than he did last season from three. Now, granted, he didn't have that many minutes last season. He only played 11 minutes a game, and he's playing about the same now. But to see you shooting technically 11.5% better from three than you were a year before, that shows me that you are progressing as a basketball player and putting in the work in the gym. We just need to see it translate on the basketball court when he's putting games. He's just not getting the opportunity, but when he does get the opportunity, we see how good of a defender he is. Sometimes you can be a defensive specialist like a Tony Allen and have a 15-year NBA career just being a defensive specialist. We're seeing Alex Caruso, not the best scorer, but he hits the corner three very well, and he stops everything that gets in his way pretty much. So, you can make a career of just being a specialist. That can happen in today's game. If you just shoot the three and be a D specialist, you can make a career. I think that's what Dalen Terry should focus on. We're seeing Josh Giddey develop. We're seeing Kobe White. Kobe White, I was hoping he could progress a little bit more, but he's still a very good player. The only thing is he's just streaky. That's just the way he is. He came out of UNC as a streaky player, and he still is to this day. It's just the way he is. But I think what we are going to see is Josh Giddey progress. We're going to see Matas Buzelis progress. I think Kobe White we could see progress. Whether or not he's a Chicago Bull in 2 years, we'll see. But I think there's just so much that we're going to see from these young guys. And I really think it's only going to get better. And folks, and I say this to all my Bulls fans out there, we got to be patient. I will say this. Be happy Jim Boylan's not the head coach. And we got a good coach in Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan's a very good head coach. I give Billy Donovan a lot of respect. He's a proven head coach. He knows what he's doing. I've always liked him. Just be happy we don't have to deal with a guy like Jim Boylan, because I remember we would call timeout down 20, and I'd be like, what the heck are we doing? Why are we doing this? And you would scratch your head at everything he did. I don't scratch my head at what Billy Donovan does. He demands a lot of respect from the players, and the players respect him. So I think we will see this team back in the playoffs in the next few years. But I think for now, you're looking at a 30-win team, and that's okay. That's okay for next season. As long as we see guys like Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis continue to put up numbers, I'm okay with, losing 50-plus games. That's okay by me. But just be ready for it, Bulls fans. That's what we're headed towards. We got to deal with it right now.
Guys, he's Josh Sklare. He's a co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast, talking Bulls basketball here. Josh, great stuff, Papa. I really appreciate it. But before you go, do me a huge favor. Let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
You can find me at J Esquire on Twitter. You can also find me on the Running with the Bulls podcast. Give us a follow on Facebook if you can. The Running with the Bulls on Facebook, and also just give me a follow on Twitter if you want, and as well. And more episodes of Running with the Bulls will be coming. We just actually recorded yesterday and had a great episode.
Dude, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, man. We'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. That's Josh Sklare. Esquire to be extraordinaire. He's studying for the bar. Man, I love it. Talking Bulls. There's still a lot to be excited about with the Bulls. You want to get younger and more athletic. Well, I know we waited about 5 years for that, 6 years for that, but we're finally younger and more athletic. Well, listen, let's take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to welcome our guy, E.J. Snyder, who's got boots on the ground. He's down in Naptown. All right, he's down in there for the combine. It starts on Thursday. Well, the competition or the activity part starts Thursday, I believe. But, man, getting down there already. A lot of the media moguls, everyone are getting down there today for a week of networking and grabbing information to break the next big story. And he's down there rubbing elbows with some of the hot shots. So he'll be on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Hey, it's your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Time out. How are you feeling right now? Happy? Excited? Angry? Overwhelmed? One of the best things you can do for your mind health is to name what you're feeling. It can sharpen your awareness and help you talk about your feelings with someone you trust. Here are 3 questions to ask yourself. Where are your thoughts right now? In the past, the present, the future? Do you notice any sensations in your body? Is your heart beating fast? Is there a flutter in your stomach? Or are you fully relaxed? What do you need right now? Time with others? Time to yourself? Remember, there's power in this awareness. So find ways to identify what you're feeling today.
Hi, guys. Hey. Hi, Megan. Hey, Jessica. Megan, You're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He said your breath smells like garbage. And he almost puked. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? Your makeup makes you look like a clown. That zit is huge, zit face. Ugly.
Number two is this roster that Ryan's already built. It is stocked, it's loaded. Everyone wants to talk about the quarterback, and Caleb, I'm excited to work with you, but it's going to take more than just you. And there are a lot of pieces already in place, and I can't wait to get to work with the rest of you guys. And then finally, I wanted to stay in this division. I know this is the toughest division of football right now. There's 3 teams that made the playoffs this year. I've got tremendous amount of respect for the coaches and the players in this league. Having competed against them for the last 6 years. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That's our man. That's the man, 50 grand. Actually, 13 mil grand. That's him. That's the guy everybody wanted, Ben Johnson. And you know what? Talked about being happy to be here. Talking about stripping down this offense to the studs and rebuilding it around Caleb. There's a crazy idea. Build it around the strengths of your quarterback. That's a novel concept. He talked about being uncomfortable, pushing people to the limits. He talked about being in that draft room with making suggestions for to Ryan Poles on what he wants. Basically saying, I'm going to tell you what the hell I want. I'm going to tell you what groceries to get if you want me to cook one hell of a meal. So I like this guy so far to this point. Now we just got to see if he can command a room and run an NFL team. But we're going to find out. Well, my next guest is going to help us with looking at some of the groceries that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are going to be shopping for this offseason. I am excited. Good to have this guy on. It's been a while. We usually catch up this time draft because it's right in his wheelhouse, man. He is the NFL Draft Analyst. He's from was it Bootleg Football, if I'm not mistaken, and he's the host of the Bear Era podcast. Let's welcome back. You can find him on Twitter at Football EJ. Guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, EJ Snyder. EJ, what's up, Papa? Good morning.
I'm happy to be here. It's kind of like Christmas. You know it is for me, being an Indy Combine Eve, if you want to call it that. It's a good week.
There's certain people who do things like you have to be in your heaven right now. You have you are literally like this is what you do. Like you break down players, and now you're actually there watching the next crop of talent, the draft class in there. Dude, it's got to be nirvana for you.
I pinch myself pretty often, and year after year, it just gets more and bigger, and we get more opportunities. We're going to be on the field again for drills this year, which was something we started last year. And this year, we're actually going to be recording from the field after drills are done. So to be any small part of this event after watching it for years and years, well more than a decade from afar is nutty, and I am never quite sure I'm here. Yeah, absolutely surreal. That's a perfect word to describe it.
Because you're standing next to a dude, you're like, he's going to be on TV. Like, he's going to be signing a huge contract, and you know what I mean? Like, it's so wild, huh?
It is crazy to know players, to truly know players now, to interview them, to, have their names on my phone, and to, next fall be looking up on the TV and being like, oh yeah, I said, I know that guy. I talked to him for about 20 minutes about
I got him. Look, here's his number.
Yeah, it's wild, but it's really, really cool. And to have those relationships now that go back, 3 and 4 years with the guys we've interviewed at Shrine and carrying that on now through Combine. Thomas Booker is a guy that just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. Like, he didn't get drafted by the Eagles. He got drafted by the Texans, but we had a great conversation with him at Shrine. We're really impressed by him. Got picked up by the Eagles, was on the practice squad, then on the active roster for the Super Bowl, and be able to text that guy after the Super Bowl and say, man, I am so happy for you. That's going to last forever is really, really cool.
Man, it's awesome, man. And I know this has been a labor of love for you for years. And, you started out doing this. Did you ever envision that you would have this type of access to the players when you first started, as you were starting your journey here?
No, absolutely not. And it's not something I think anybody probably really aspires to if they're being serious. To have rolled this way, have broken this way, have so many people have helped me along the way to get to this point, and to have them continue to help me because they believe in what we're making. They believe in the content, to back that, to support it, to sponsor it, and then to reach out and say, hey, would you like to do this? Would you like another opportunity to interact, to learn, to, get to talk to coaches, to players, to agents, to scouts, whoever it is all fascinating. And it very quickly just becomes understanding what you don't understand and knowing that you don't know a lot and being open to learning every day. I'm still there. I'm still in that spot. And every time one of those opportunities sort of comes across the bow, it just floors me every time. Like, who called us? Wait a minute. We get to do what? Okay, sure.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Like I said, we met 5 years ago?
2020 Senior Bowl was the first time that we were in each other's company. You bought us lunch, and I'd probably come on your show like 6 or 8 months before that. So it's getting on. This was like 6 years.
Yeah. We were at camp. We found the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
And we took that place apart. They're like, oh my God, I brought like 8 people, 10 people. They were like, oh my goodness, that was crazy. Yeah, down in Bourbonnais. That was great stuff, man. I appreciate it. And we've been rocking ever since, and I appreciate it. I'm so happy for you and your success. So, but enough kissing your ass. You're doing one hell of a job.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's getting smoky in here. Can we talk about players?
So let's talk what the Bears need. All right. In my assessment, O-line, D-line, maybe a running back, tight end.
Yep.
So and let's talk about the players they're going to get. Obviously, Abdul Carter is a stud. I'd love to have him, but he's not falling to 10. No. All right, this ain't draft day, okay?
Nope.
He's not falling to number 10. All right. So who realistically could the Bears look at? Well, first of all, who do you think? What position do you think they're going to go at number 10? And then by that, who do you think they have a legitimate shot of getting? Is it Will Campbell? Is it Banks? Who do you think they have a legitimate shot at number 10?
It's a really interesting question because you're right about all the needs in terms of your assessment. They absolutely need to rebuild the O-line. That's probably number one. They have multiple needs, plural, on the defensive line. And yes, they need to add to the running back room. I'm not so sure they're sold on DeAndre Swift. We'll see about Roschon Johnson and the other guys. But you've seen what Detroit did with certainly draft capital, sort of turned the world upside down to get Jahmyr Gibbs, and a lot of people questioned that move, and nobody's questioning that move anymore. He was one of the offensive leaders in the NFL. So it's a weird sort of triangle this year, whereas there's not a clear number one need in terms of what the Bears are going to get, or a clear number one player that they'll be targeting because of that. Depends on how the draft falls ahead of them. It's going to be less certain than other years because there are not definitive quarterback prospects. One quarterback will certainly go before the Bears, probably not two, but you can't say that for sure. And that could make the board, again, falling only to 10, very, very different for what the Bears see. So the good news is they have options. There's going to be good offensive linemen there at 10. There's going to be good players. You're only 10 players into the draft. Right. The real options are, I would say, offensive line. Now, that could be tackle. It would likely be tackle if they're taking it at 10. Edge rusher. It's a little early for, again, any of the edge rushers they're going to see, but only a little bit early for guys like Mike Green. And then there is the possibility that they could go after Ashton Genty. And a month ago, I was firmly committed they shouldn't do that for a couple of reasons. Running backs, for the most part, aren't difference makers. The other thing is this is an incredibly deep running back draft, so they could wait and get a very good running back later on through multiple rounds, even down through 4 rounds. So those were the things that were stacked against that choice. After having done my full workup on Ashton Jeanty, he's a special dude. He's a Saquon Barkley type dude or better, and that's rare. When you look at Jeanty's production, when you look at his tape, the guys you're comparing him to are Hall of Famers. So it's a rare type of player, and I know a lot of Bears fans would be thoroughly upset with any running back at 10. I understand that. If it's Jeanty, if it's Jeanty, he's a special guy, and you've got a coach that fully understands how to weaponize a running back. We've seen that with Ben Johnson over the last 2 seasons. So I'm not saying that's my favorite selection. I'm saying if it comes to pass, if they say that, the only thing I will say is Ashton Jeanty is the best football player in this draft. There is nobody that is better at their job in this draft than Ashton Jeanty is at his. So I will be less sad than I was about it, probably a couple of weeks ago. Do I think that's the likely move? I really don't think it probably is. But if it comes to pass and Ashton Jeanty gets to continue to wear blue and orange, albeit a different shade of blue, I will not be terribly sad. He is a tremendous football player.
Well, me and you're going to be on opposite sides of the fence because I don't want him. I just think there's two, even with, and because we haven't even talked about, haven't looked at free agency because they may get they may get Drew Dahlman, Trey Smith. Okay, so now you got your right tackle, your right guard, your center. You still got Braxton Jones, who's okay, and we still don't know about Kieran Amagaji and the left guard. And we might even get another guard. What if they go get Deitzler from where he just came from Detroit for a year or two, and you have him kind of, some people said, what if they do that? Would you be? I said I could see them doing that. I still wouldn't want it, but I need hogs. Give me guys. Yeah. I don't want anyone less than 280. Because you might get an edge rusher. But man, no, I need a big boy, man. I don't know. So that's a strong statement. You said, he's the best at his position because there's a guy named Travis Hunter who's got a pretty good argument that he's pretty good. So, interesting that you'd say that about this kid. What do you think makes him so special?
It's the combination of traits and production. It's what he can do with those traits. So he's on the shorter side, but he is incredibly well built. He's got, I would say, preternatural contact balance, rare stuff. It is almost impossible to knock him off his feet. He anticipates contact extremely well. His vision is great. His long speed is extremely good for a guy his height. I'll say that.
Is he 5'8"?
He's got, he's in between 5'8", 5'9". We'll see the measurement here. You can never tell with what they're listed at, but we'll see the measurement here in a couple of days. But he is, fully 220 pound and rocked up, runs through contact regularly. And the weirdest thing about him that I think really makes him special is how he combines all those gifts. When you look at his film, it looks like the film is slowed down for everybody else or sped up for him. Take your pick. He anticipates what other players on the field are going to do, both his own and, opponents, before they do. And he just makes it look like he's playing on easy. And that's against the best competition he faced. A lot of people say, Boise State, they didn't play anybody. Baloney. He put up great numbers against Oregon. There's a guy at every level, multiple guys at every level of this Oregon defense that are going to get drafted in this draft. There's 3 guys off the line. There's a linebacker. There's a nickelback. You're going to see multiple players off that Dan Lanning defense go straight into the league. Jeanty looked just as good against them as he did against everybody else on the schedule, and he did it week after week, and his production is unreal. And if you look at how he got there, his ability to combine all those gifts on every run and never give up, making moves 25 yards down the field because he wants an extra 7 yards. He's a special, special player.
Okay. What about offensive linemen for us? Will Campbell has been rumored to us. Clark has been rumored to us. Do you see do you see any of those guys, either of those guys falling to us? And what about Mason Graham? He's a stud that we could use on a D line because, in my opinion, Gervon Dexter really hasn't developed. He's developing, but he hasn't developed at the rate that I would have liked, and maybe not at the rate that the Bears would have liked. Talk to me about those three guys: Will Campbell, Clark, and Mason Graham.
Yeah, Will Campbell could definitely fall to the Bears. Question as to whether he's a tackle or a guard. I think, again, if I'm drafting him, a friend of mine said, I think I'm letting him fail at tackle first before I try him a guard because he's got really good tape against SEC opponents. I understand the folks that want to move him to guard. To me, 10's a little rich for guard. Not much rich. It's maybe only 20 more spots before I would take a premier guard. But you also talked about the balance in free agency, and that's extremely important. What every team is going to do. What can we get in free agency? And then how do we fill versus the draft? And guards you can get in free agency. And they're not a terrible value, whereas getting premier edge rushers, premier wide receivers, quarterbacks in free agency is extremely expensive. You have to overpay to do it, and they're already premium positions. So those are positions you're better off drafting. Guard, I would wait a little bit. So if it's Will Campbell or, pick your choice. You talked about Mason Graham, and he's a tremendous player, but this is an extremely deep defensive tackle class. It is literally double the depth of the class last year. I don't care whose ratings you subscribe to, whether they're Dane Brugler's or Dana Jeremiah's or whatever, they all had like 20-ish defensive tackles graded as draftable last year. They all have 40 this year, low 40s, 42, 43. So you're going to be seeing guys as far down as the 4th round who are going to be starting. And that is a tremendous asset to not only the Bears, but all teams that need help on the defensive line. And there's lots of them. Add to that a very good edge class as well. And you have some wild depth on the defensive line. So again, can you forego a guy like Mason Graham, who is a very good player at 10, and pick up a defensive tackle with one of your top 2 second-round picks, or later in the 70s, or even down in the hundreds, because they are going to be available at the top range of around 100 guys like Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon. I mentioned that Oregon defense before. JJ Pegues, who we got to see at Shrine Bowl, who is Walter Nolan's running mate at Ole Miss and very impressive as a player. Those guys are going to be available, somewhere in the 90s, probably top hundreds. Bears have a pick right there. They could, move up and get one of those guys if they want to. It wouldn't cost them as much that far down in the draft. So it's about balance, right? And the Bears are going to be a weird spot at 10. They could very well be staring at Genty and then really a trade back option. And if nobody wants to trade back, they've got to pick a player. And will it be – I think it'll be on one of the lines at that point. Whether it's defensive line or offensive line is really going to depend on who's come off the board and what they've done in free agency for balance. But I'm going to be hard-pressed to say either one of those players is going to be better than Genty. Now, again, you can pick running backs later on, and there are multiples that I really like in this draft. So I fully get that strategy. I guess what I would be preaching to Bears fans is patience, right? Because there's more than one pick in the draft. And there's free agency. So it's the balance. It's not just the first pick. If they picked Genty and everybody lost their mind at 10, if they came back at 39 and 41, I think it is, or 40, whatever, and picked 2 offensive linemen, would you be happy with that? Or they picked 2 defensive linemen, would you be happy with that? Like, just have some patience through the first couple of days.
I would be very happy if they address the offensive line free agency. So go get, you should be parked in front of Trey Smith's house at 11:59. Okay, just be like, as soon as the clock turns to 12, it's like 58, 59.
It's starting right now, Shawn. Like today. I swear, his agents are here, as all agents are. The Bears are here. That conversation is starting today.
Oh, yeah.
Like, literally, they are saying, what do you want? What's it going to take? We want your guy. What are the parameters? That's all getting laid out over the next 2-3 days over
a lot of business dinners down in Indy.
100%. Those parameters are getting laid out right now. Like, by Wednesday or Thursday, the Bears are going to have a very good idea of how much it's going to cost, whether or not they're willing to pay it, what the other options are. But let's just say the Bears do that, which would be great. I would be all for it. By the way, I got to meet Trey last summer at OLM. He is a tremendous young man. He is an awesome player. We all know that. I would pay him whatever he wants because I think he's the real deal, both on and off the field.
I was talking to one of my offensive lineman guys, a guy that played in the league, Marcus Sullivan from Chicago, Fenwick guy, U of I guy, played with the Bills for most of his career. And he was like, that's the dude. He goes, he's a culture setter. He's like,
fully agree.
He can play any, whether it's power gap scheme or zone blocking scheme, he can play whatever. He's that damn good. I'm like, okay. I was like, a big shout out to Marcus. I was like, when I get an former offensive lineman say this dude's is a trend setter, a culture setter. All right, I take that. I take that very serious.
Yeah, I would pay for that. And let's say the Bears do that. Let's say they back up the Brinks truck, they make Trey Smith the highest paid guard in the league, and then they go out and get another interior offensive lineman. Insert your favorite here. Could be Drew Dahlman, whatever. Let's say they already have that in the basket in free agency. And then we go into the draft, and maybe they pick, again, insert edge or Ashton Genty at 10, but then they come back at 39. They pick Tyler Booker out of Alabama. Now you've got Trey Smith on one side, Booker on the other side, possibly Shelton coming back or Dahlman at center. You've got your young tackles. That's a very different looking offensive line with a schemer like Ben Johnson, and you put an all-world running back behind that. The Bears would have a lot of support sort of instantaneously for Caleb moving into next season.
Yeah, they would. One of my guys wanted me to ask you about the tight end, Tyler Warren. He said, Tyler Warren, would he be a consideration? Probably not for one, but as a draft pick for him in the second or third round. Where would if the Bears do look at him, where do you think they would get him?
Yeah, I think he should be a consideration. I really like Tyler Warren. I don't think he should be a consideration at 10 because it's a very good tight end class. I know we've already said that about defensive tackle and running back, but those are three of the strongest areas of this draft. All of them are quite deep. Tyler Warren, great player out of Penn State. Really enjoy him. His versatility would be on full display with Ben Johnson. 10's a little rich for me, and that means they're probably not going to get him because he's probably going to go between 10 and 39. I don't believe he'll still be there at 39. I believe he's a first-round player.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to mean for Cole Kmet with Ben Johnson here? Because we saw what Canfora was doing up in Detroit. I know he said he's going to have a different offense, but there's going to be some. Different meaning there's still going to be a lot. He's still going to get the tight end. He used Sam Laporta a lot in Detroit. What is that? What do you think that means for Cole Kmet? Because Cole Kmet was on the back of a milk carton. I don't know if he pissed off Caleb or maybe he was. I don't know what happened, but Caleb just didn't go his way off a lot last year. He was on the back of a milk carton. What does that mean for Cole Kmet? Is he going to be able to really be an impact tight end this year?
I think he's going to have an impact. I'm not sure which one fans are looking for. Cole Kmet is a good player and a good receiving tight end. He's an okay blocking tight end. He is up and down. He can be a very good blocker. He can also be a terrible blocker, and sometimes you get both in the same game. So I think he is going to be a part of this offense moving forward. The Bears basically have to make him that after re-signing to the contract. And he has the physical capability to do it. If I was Cole Kmet, I'd be very excited about Ben Johnson coming to town. But I would also put my ego in check because it does not mean that just because I'm here, they're not going to invest in the position, especially in a very deep and rich draft. I would expect the Bears to draft a tight end regardless of what they think of Cole Kmet because it's a good class and they need another one. Yeah. And there are all flavors in this draft. So you could get one early, you could get one late. You could find value in either spot. And if I was Cole Kmet, I would be expecting that. I would be expecting the competition, and I wouldn't be expecting to be number one. I would be expecting to play and contribute, and I would be working to be number one if I could be, but he's going to have to sort of get with the program. I think he can. I think he will, but he will not be the only tight end. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if down the board, especially in the later rounds, they picked up another one that they just thought, hey, this is great value in the 6th round, the 7th round. Like, we're going to grab this guy because he's got some skills that we want, and we think he fleshes out our room. And right now, besides Cole Kmet, there's not a lot in that room.
No, they just cut, what's his name? The guy they signed from Green Bay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember his name when he was on the team. I can't remember his name now. Gerald Everett. There you go. Yep. Gerald Everett. They just cut him, so to free up cap space. Then Miami, don't they have a good tight end? University of Miami. So
Elijah Arroyo. I thought you were talking about the Dolphins. Right. I was like, ugh. No, Elijah Arroyo is a great tight end. He's probably going to be. I think after this week, he's going to move up. Right now, he's sitting somewhere around the 80 mark on a lot of boards, 84, 85, something like that. He's going to test very, very well. His tape is great. He is a two-way tight end. He's a very good receiver. He's got great size.
Yeah.
I think better than advertised hands. I think he's going to open some eyes this week with testing and fluidity. He's probably going to move up a little bit, separate himself from other tight ends in that range. But
is that a possible target in the second round?
What's
for
that?
The Bears?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially depending on free agency, if they get if they get those two offensive linemen, draft an offensive lineman with their first pick, do you see them maybe take, I don't know about a reach, but maybe going after him with their second round pick?
That seems a bit high to me. I don't know that he's going to jump up like 50 spots. Because
fourth round,
but in that pick they have in the 70s, like that's probably, if they want him and he's still there, that's the pick they would have to use to get him, outside of something terrible coming out of his medicals or something like that. But he's not going to last much past that, and he may not even by the time we get to that process, because again, I have to remind folks, this is the beginning of that process for a lot of people getting familiarized with picks. Obviously, teams are already very familiar with all these guys, but there is going to be some resettling of the board after the combine. There always is, and as people go to pro days and start, getting deeper, truer ranks on these guys, Arroyo is the guy I could see, quote unquote, rising, and that means he'll be moving up from that mid-80s spot, and so the Bears would be having to get him with their pick in the 70s or looking a different direction.
Okay. What defensive tackles would you think? So say we go offensive lineman with our number 10. Okay?
Yeah.
So then I'll put that back up. So then we're at 39 and 41. What defensive tackles or edge rushers would be most likely available in the 39 to 41 range that would really turn the heads of Bear fans?
Yeah, turn the heads is, again, the eye of the beholder more than anything else. But there's, again, a lot of talent there in that range, because a lot of them will have gone off the board. I fully expect by the 39 or 41 picks that Kenneth Grant will be gone. He'll be gone early to mid first round. Walter Nolan will be off the board from Ole Miss. Derek Harmon will be off the board. Darius Alexander probably off the board as well, and you're getting into the realm of TJ Sanders, Tyleek Williams, Shamar Turner, and maybe Alfred Collins is probably outside that range. But again, I think after this week, people are going to be like, ooh, Alfred Collins is a really nice player. He might move up into that range. So those are the defensive tackles that the Bears would be looking at. In terms of edge rushers, it's the same thing. There's going to be a sort of first-round run on the James Pierce's, Mike Green's, probably Michael Williams, and then Shamar Stewart, I would imagine, also goes in the first round. Borderline guy is Nick Skirton from Texas A&M. And then Donovan Uzraku will probably be in that round range from Boston College. And I think, again, I think people are really going to get back to his tape and like him more than they do right now. So he could rise up out of that range into the back end of the first round conversation. But if not, he's a guy, as Rocco's a guy that I would look at as a really interesting player at the edge in that range.
One of the guys that have been pounding the table, as he wrote here, for Darius Alexander, Jordan Phillips. He's been a big Darius Alexander guy. Give me your thoughts about him.
Oh, he had a great Senior Bowl. I think he opened eyes there, and I think not the only downside, the probably major downside is age. I think Darius Alexander is older than Penei Sewell. So, that's a thing. That's definitely gonna raise some eyebrows. But as a player, he's got great length, showed a lot of strength, showed great competition in Senior Bowl against the top competition in the country. So I think he's one of those guys, and these guys, every year there's from like 25 to 32 in that first round range. There's 15 guys that can go in those 7 spots, and it depends on who's picking, whether anybody trades up, I don't think anybody's going to be trading up this year to sort of pip a quarterback and get the 5th-year option. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So it's just this mix of guys in terms of talent and need in those last 5 to 7 picks. And I think he is primed to be one of those picks because he's a very good player. He's at a premium position. And I think somebody's going to look at his tape versus top competition and go, yeah, he's a guy we want in our system as a difference maker.
What about the running back position? The running back position, we've talked about it. I know Ashton Genty he said as a possibility. I think it's a slim possibility. I think he might be gone by then, but still a possibility. Mm-hmm. But so do you think the Bears go after one? And if you do, when and who would be available then?
Oh, I definitely think they go after one. I think there is almost no world where the Bears come out of this.
Okay, so they're the picks again. So obviously not 139 or.
If you're looking in the 39 to 41 range, if a guy like Omarion Hampton survives into that round range, I think he'll probably get picked before that. If he doesn't, Omarion Hampton from UNC is absolutely a consideration there. After that, you drop down to Caleb Johnson from Iowa, who I really like. He's going to be tough. He's going to be right in between that 41 and 72. I think he goes off closer to 41 than to 72. But again, if you don't pick him at 41, he's not going to be there at 72, especially not after the combine. Tape alone should have that guy.
I like him 30s. Too.
He's really, really good. So if he ends up being a Bear, I will be thrilled. I know a lot of folks in the upper Midwest love both the guys from Ohio State. I'm not as high on Travion Henderson as some people are. He's an absolute home run hitter, one of the fastest backs, if not the fastest back in this draft. His vision's not awesome, so I'm going to let somebody else draft him. Quinshon Judkins is more of a heavy hitter, every down back. He would be the David Montgomery if you're looking at the sort of Sonic and Knuckles combination for the Lions and Ben Johnson's offense. He would be more of the Knuckles combination. Devin Neal, when you're getting down towards 100, I would say probably in the late 80s to 100 range. Devin Neal out of Kansas, I like a lot. Damian Martinez, talking about let's just say 125 round range. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, guy that played only one game for Arizona this year, and it was because of eligibility options. I thought it was because of injury. That's not the case. He's healthy, and we got to see him at Shrine Bowl. He dominated the Shrine Bowl game. Very, very productive player in college before he transferred to Arizona as well. So good production, great metrics, and had a really good All-Star game appearance. Not a name a lot of people know, but he's a great back. And then you can keep going down the board. That's the crazy thing about this draft. You can look at Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers is an absolute hammer. Guy that I like who's going to have a very sort of key week this week is Bishul Tuten from Virginia Tech. He's got a medical concern. If he gets a green light this week, he's wildly undervalued right now. He's depending on what board you look at, he's 150 to 180 right now.
What's his name again?
Bishul Tuten. So it's
where's he from?
Virginia Tech.
Tech.
And
his measurables? 5'10", 6.
He's 5'10". He's maybe 215. We'll see.
Okay.
Fast as anything. He reminds me a lot of Kenneth Walker, a lot. So if his health checks out, he's also a great receiving threat. And then Jordan James was incredibly productive in my neck of the woods, playing for University of Oregon. Taj Brooks, Texas Tech. Ollie Gordon was a Heisman finalist a couple of years ago out of Oklahoma State. He's a big bruiser of a back. All those guys are 170 to 205 right now, depending on what board you look at. That is a ton of running back talent to have that far down the board. So a lot of choices. I would not even be surprised if the Bears double dipped given their running back room. If they move on from DeAndre Swift, if they decide they wanted to move him because, Ben Johnson's not sold on him as a fit in the offense, not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if it does. This class of running backs offers so much talent up and down the board. They could pick one up high, maybe go get Caleb Johnson and come back and get a, Jordan James or Bishop too.
Wow. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of running backs. And lastly, before you go, what about the safety position? Jaquan Brisker he's come back from He's been cleared from concussion protocol. However, I mean, he's one big hit from being Tua. You know what I mean? And we don't need him. We don't want to put all the pressure, or not basically be left with our pants, caught with our pants down if for some reason he goes out again. Any safeties that we should take note of or kind of keep an eye out for in the combine this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Sneaky good safety class, and I'm with you. I think safety is probably the need for the Bears that is the biggest, that the least number of people are talking about, because they see the number of players on the roster currently, but it really does hinge on Brisker's health, and that's been not great for the past couple of years. And we're talking about head injuries, and those are very hard to predict in terms of recurrence. You just can't do it. So he might be completely healthy. He might be out week 1 or 2, and you might be without his services for maybe the entire season. So it's a really difficult proposition, because when he's on the field, he's a difference maker for the Bears. He's a very, very good player. Maybe the best player on defense before he left.
Tone setter, the whole 9. Yeah, I love it.
Love his. You can't. The best ability is availability, and he's been rough on that. So the Bears are in a rough place, and only they are close enough to his health situation to really weigh that out. But I don't think you can just walk into the season and say everything's going to be fine. Kevin Byard slowed down a little bit, still quick mentally, physically. He was never a top-end athlete, but any step he loses is going to be magnified. And then, Owens played better than I thought he would coming in last year. So he's definitely a viable option, but I don't think he's a guy that keeps me from bringing anything in. And Hicks is certainly the same way. So I low-key think the Bears could add a, say, second wave of free agency safety, or look at one in the draft class. I don't think they'll do it up high. If they do, Xavier Watts is probably the guy they'd be looking at out of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But a guy that's going to explode, absolutely explode, and therefore, be closer to that 71st pick that they have is Nick Amenwari from South Carolina. He's 6'3". He's 225 pounds. He's probably going to run in the 4.3s legit. Yeah. I'm telling you, the combine is custom made for this guy. Also a good player, but he is going to explori this week.
What's his name again? I got to write this down.
Nick Amenwari. So it's Emmanwori. And he is a safety for South Carolina. And he is going to just blow up the combine because he's that kind of athlete. Right after him, right around the 100 mark right now. But again, I think they're going to be seen as better values are 2 players. One from Texas, Andrew Makuba, who I really like. He's got great deep range, good ball skills, bit of a headhunter, closes on the ball really well. He's definitely going to have to bring his strike zone down a little bit in the NFL, but hard hitter, great trigger. He's awesome. And then he's right at or right under 6 foot, and he's a little bit light, but he doesn't play like it.
Okay.
He's a hammer. Go watch his Texas tape. He will light guys up and does regularly. It's not a rarity on his tape. And a little bit better in deep center field than the guy I'm going to mention next, who's Jonas Sanker from Virginia. And also love his trigger going forward. He'd be a little bit closer to Brisker, guy you play a little bit closer to the line, can still cover, has really nice click and close, but near the line of scrimmage, his trigger and close is startling. He surprises opposing players. They're like, no, I got a second. Oh, no, I don't. And, you end up with a 7 or 8 yard loss. Also, both of those guys play special teams. So even if they're not in the starting rotation, which I think they probably would be for the Bears, but even if they weren't, they'd have value in year 1 and definitely work their way into starter roles.
How big is Jonas?
Jonas is bigger, and God, he can roll. He's over 200 pounds, over 6 foot, I believe, but we'll double check those measurements this week. But he can absolutely roll in the open field. Watching that guy's acceleration is startling, because he'll be hanging out at linebacker depth or just after, box safety, slot safety, whatever you want to call it, star depth. And the quarterback will get flushed. He'll trigger, and he is on him. I mean,
great closing speed, huh?
Great closing speed, big hitter, loves contact. Both those guys are really interesting and are going to be available down the board. probably a little bit higher than they're being ranked right now, which is in the, roughly the 100 range. But any of those guys, well, even Warrior after blowing up the combine he's probably going to require like that 71st pick. But Makuba and Sanker, the Bears would probably have to move up to get him because they're kind of in the Bears no man's land. A lot of people aren't talking about that. You go from 72 and you drop all the way down to like 148, I think. So it's going to be rough. Yeah, they go 72 to 148. That's a huge gap, 72 picks. So they would have to trade back up to get one of those guys. I'm not sure they're going to prioritize safety, but either one of those players would be targets for me if I was looking at doing that. Or acquiring picks in the trade down higher up. I would be looking to get a pick right there, 90 to like 105, if I wanted to target either one of those players, because I think all of those players would be great ads for the Bears and a needed addition. They are not set at safety right now.
Well, Ryan Poles has shown he is not afraid to jump back into the draft, as we saw last year with Austin Booker. How important is this draft class for Ryan Poles? Do you think the seat is hot for him? Do you think he bought some more time with the new head coach? Do you think, because there was rumors from Courtney Cronin reported that, most likely going to get an extension. It hasn't been reported yet, but most likely going to get an extension to line him up even with Ben Johnson, the timeline. Where do you think Ryan Poles sits this year? Is he on the hot seat, and how important is this draft for him?
I don't think he's on the hot seat. If he was on the hot seat, they would have moved him out. And, I could fully understand if they'd done that, why they did it. They didn't do that. That, to me, says that's a vote of confidence. If you're bringing in a new coach, you're not sticking him with a one-year GM. That being said, going back to the first part of your question, this draft class is immensely important for Ryan Poles because he has to prove that he's learned from his mistakes. And their mistakes have been made for the first 2 years. Offensive line chief among them. If he does not fix the offensive line through free agency in this draft, I'm fully out. Like, you can't not. And I don't think Ben's going to allow that to happen because, like you said, he knows what groceries he wants purchased. And if you look at the offensive line that he worked with in Detroit, it was above average. It was very good. It was not okay and getting by.
3 first-round picks. 3 first-round picks in an offensive line. Hell yeah.
It was a very good, very, going to be expensive, very young, very talented offensive line. And he's used to that. He is not going to settle for a third or 40% of his plays being blown up before they start because the O-line can't get it together. So you're going to see investment. But we see lots of teams invest. We see a lot of teams not get it right because of that, or despite that, I should say. So this is still highly important for Ryan Poles to get it right because you have to protect Caleb and you have to build a base that Ben Johnson can work his offense off of. So hugely important, probably not on the hot seat, but that doesn't mean that this draft class isn't of paramount importance because I think it is.
Bears don't really need much else. You don't see them taking a race at like a linebacker or maybe a DB.
I don't see them doing that, and I've had to sort of control myself doing mock drafts and just get back to keep the main thing. The main thing is the lines, right? Those are what's going to win you football games down the line. You look at the Super Bowl champion, right? Both sides of the ball, lots of investment, lots of depth. So every time, I'm doing a mock draft and I do some crazy trade and I end up with some weird pick, which I love doing just because it, exposes me to more players that in a different range that I normally don't see, like that big gulf between 72 and 148 Bears, or 72 and 148. But the other day I was doing one and Jihad Campbell from Alabama dropped. I think I had a pick at, maybe it was 41, and he's going to be a first-round player. He is a great, great player. But the Bears are pretty strong at linebacker if we're talking about, and I just had to put the blinders on and go, nope, not going to make a difference. Look for the lineman, trade down, do what you need to do. But guys like Jihad Campbell, I absolutely love as a draft analyst, and wherever he ends up, I will follow his career because I think he's a great, great player. But I think the Bears are going to have to keep some focus because there's always candy in the draft, right? There's always things that pop up, and they're like, ooh, can't do it. Got to build lines.
EJ, great stuff as always, my man. Do me a favor before you go. First of all, thank you for your time. I know you're down in Indy. I appreciate it. But do me a favor, let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, so Bootleg Football, easiest ways, go to YouTube, type in Bootleg Football. You'll see all of our content there. And then Bear Era, also on YouTube. Just type in Bear Era, and we are doing like monthly live streams in the off season. But once we get back to the regular season, actually starting in about mid-August, we will be weekly once again, bringing you a pod every single week. But this off season, we're going to have some pretty good guests. We've got a couple of current Bears players who are probably going to be on. Going to make some asks here while I'm in Indy. We're going to be fleshing out the guest list for Bear Era, so check that out. Subscribe. That'll help us, get to more Bears fans and bring you more Bears-focused content.
Cornelius had one last question. He said, what about Holland Pierce at tackle?
Oh, man. Holland Pierce is a mammoth. Great story as well. Look up his story if you don't know it. Rutgers tackle. Got to see him in person at the Shrine Bowl. It didn't take long. Day one. Walked into University of North Texas. Saw the giant with the Rutgers helmet on and went, who the hell is that? That was Holland Pierce. He's 6'8", 3, whatever. It doesn't even matter. He holds it extremely well. He's a massive human being. At options, sure. Are there other good options as well? There are. Again, up and down the board. I'll give you one name. I know you love deep down the board names. We interviewed a guy who is the Washington State starting tackle. He's in this draft. His name is Esa Pole. So Esapole. And he has only played football. This is going to blow your mind. He's only played football for like 2 years. He didn't play high school football. And he started basically in a Pac. Well, his first year was the Pac-12. And then, this year was whatever. And learning curve, huge learning curve. But you can see he's got great size, Polynesian kid, played basketball, great feet.
Polynesian, no wonder, dude. So he's probably bottom heavy. Probably got the
He's not. He's bottom light because he was a basketball player. And he's got great feet. And you know what that means for tackle. And watch his progression between last year and this year. Because last year was rough. It was literally his first year of playing tackle. And this year, the progression is amazing. He's going to have a great combine because he's a tremendous athlete. He's way down the board. He's in the late 200s because people are like, oh, he only played for 2 years. And Wazoo wasn't in the Pac-12 this year. There are a lot of reasons. He's a great kid. He's got a great attitude. He's making tremendous progress, and he's got so many tools to work with. So just a name for down the board. Again, if you're sitting there and you've got your Bears picks and you're down there in the 200s and he's still on the board, he's going to be worth so much more than, some, linebacker that only plays special teams at that point. Like, it's a potential for another Braxton Jones type.
Okay. Dude, great stuff again. I appreciate it, man. Have fun down there, man, and we will talk soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely, Shawn. Always appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Should be a fun week. I'll drop you some nuggets by the end of it.
Sounds awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care.
Bye now. Guys, that's EJ Snyder from Bootleg Football and, NFL Draft Analyst. Dude, I hope you wrote those names down. If not, make sure you catch the replay. He gave you a shitload of names to look for. His thoughts is, and that's I love. I gotta have him on every time around this time of the year. This is his sweet spot, and man, it is. I'm excited. I wish I was going down there to Indy. That'd be dope to get down there and meet people and see the talent. Excuse me. CV Brian says Pierce is like a bigger Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor's a big boy. Cornelius Gall says you can't bull rush Holland Pierce. Well, those Polynesian guys, and I know I'm being stereotypical, but I'm okay with it. Tend to be tough, tend to be strong, and usually they're bottom heavy. And that's why I was like, oh, he must be bottom heavy, like big thighs, big thighs, big ass, just powerful base. But he said, no, he's not. He's a basketball player, but it doesn't mean he's not strong. Doesn't mean he's not strong. And according to Cornelius, he says you can't bull rush Holland Pierce. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I could see someone like that. Say you had, remember we had Jason Peters? When we signed Jason Peters for a year a couple seasons ago. That would be a phenomenal compliment to a Jason Peters. Say, all right, Jason, you're here for one more year. And not necessarily him, but if you had someone like a KG vet and had this kid learn behind him for a year, woo-wee, that would be the ideal situation for a guy who literally just started playing football, American football, the last 2 or 3 years. So that'd be great to have a future first ballot Hall of Famer in Jason is Jason Pierce? No, I can't even think of Peters. Jason Peters. Yeah, so that would be the ideal situation. So we don't have that situation here. So I don't know if I want to deal with but maybe so. It depends. We're gonna see at the combine. They'll see a lot of what people are gonna look at his tape. You're also gonna have to look at his feet, his broad jump, all these things you're gonna have to look at, and we'll see how if he jumps up from where he's at, and then eventually who takes him, who ends up taking him, right? Because if they have a strong old line room. Maybe it's the guy you take, right? You got him for a couple years to develop, and where he's going to be taken, he's not going to cost that much. It's a cost-effective move for a team. I don't think we're in that position, but who knows? Anyway, guys, 2 hours has come and gone. Holy cow! I want to thank my guest Josh Sklare, the co-host of the Running with the Bulls podcast, coming on talking Bulls basketball with us. Ooh, that was crazy. Nutso, I appreciate him coming on, giving him his time talking some Bulls basketball. Then I want to thank EJ Snyder from Bootleg Football, NFL Draft Analyst, and host of the Bear Era podcast, coming on, dropping us some crazy nuggets. I hope you got those names. All those names. Essa Pohl from Washington State. We were talking about Andrew Makuba, safety from Texas Tech. Nick Imanwari, free safety, 6'3", 220-ish from South Kakalaka. Then Jonas Sanker, a 6 feet-ish, 220 pounds. So I hope you remember those names and some of the other names he dropped, because those guys will get drafted. And, you can say, oh, we I saw EJ hype this guy up, so this guy is going to be a player. So good stuff, EJ. I appreciate every time he's able to come on. It's going to be dope. Listen, guys, have a phenomenal day. It is a much warmer day here in Chicago, 50 degrees. I'll tell you what, I woke up, it was 38 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was happier than a pig in slop. I didn't have to wear my big parka jacket. I wore my vest today, my puffy vest. Woo! All right, today and a couple days this week, let me double check. A couple of days this week, we should be able to see the. Wow, yeah. So 57 today, 51 tomorrow, 53 Wednesday, 45 Friday, Thursday, 48 Friday, 41 Saturday, 38 Sunday, 50 Monday, 50 next Tuesday, 48 next Wednesday. So much more seasonable weather. Thank goodness. That cold was the son of a gun. But it seems like we're breaking. So, like I always tell you folks, listen, have a wonderful day. Reach out to your people. Let your loved ones know you love them, because tomorrow is promised to no one. All right? Make plans for lunch, brunch, dinner, whatever. But let your people know. Get out there and spend time with them. I told you I spent time on Friday with my guy Marcus Sullivan. We coached together at Midwest Prep. He's played for Fenwick, University of Illinois, and majority of his career was with Buffalo. He played with the Giants and the Patriots each for a year. Those two. I think he played 5 years or 6 years with the Buffalo Bills, the left tackle. All right, so telling you, I don't just talk about it. I'll be about it. I'm reaching out to people and having, people that I'm close to, former colleagues, become friends and family members. So Sonia Garcia, I'll reach out to you, and we'll do something this weekend. That dinner spot we were talking about, my cousin Sonia. So guys, do yourself that favor. Reach out to people, and man, it's time we don't get back. All right, because you sit there, because you know what we always say, man, we got to do this more. Why do we let it go so long? Well, because we don't make it a priority. So make it a priority, and this weekend's going to be nice, or this week is going to be nice. Make it a priority is to spend time with family, friends, and loved ones. All right, so listen, I'm out of here. I got to go pick up the warden. I got some stuff I need to do today, but I need you two guys to have a phenomenal day. So from everyone here at Sports Zone Chicago, I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. Have a great day, folks. Your boy is out.